A guy at the airport asked me directional questions, and apparently I didn't know anything about where we were either, so I gave him completely incorrect information, and I will be feeling guilty about that for the next 3 days or so. Last year when I did my little road trip, well, it wasn't little, when I did quite a big road trip around England, I purposely didn't go into Wales because I wanted to give Wales its own trip someday. I didn't quite expect that day to be literally the next year, but yeah, it is. We're gonna do a little trip around Wales. Matt ended up going on tour this year, and their stop in London was kind of right in the middle, so I decided to fly over here and see him. I've been in London for about 2 weeks, mostly just hanging out with him, but of course, once you fly all the way over here, you gotta do a little something more, right? So I figured now would be a great time to do a little tour of Wales, but I ended up only giving myself 4 days on the end, so I think I'm only gonna do South Wales, and I'll tell you more later, but right now, we are in Chepstow. Get ready for all of my pronunciations to be awful. Sorry. I literally just pulled into this parking lot because I really needed to pee, and then I was like, isn't there like a castle here that I wanted to see? And I looked out the window and it's right there. So let's go pee and look at a castle. Chepstow Castle was not only conveniently close to the car park, it was also delightfully deserted. The weather was brilliant that day, blue skies and a cool breeze, so I had a peaceful stroll through the castle ruins, imagining new scenes for this ongoing medieval story I've got in my head the whole time. Being in castles always inspires stories for me. Then I got a very Welsh snack and drove on to Tintern Abbey. There's some very ruined ruins across the street that you can stroll through for free, but the main point of interest is this absolutely massive cathedral that they are trying their best to preserve. Hence the reason there's a lot of scaffolding on it right now. Definitely awe-inspiring, definitely story-inspiring. You can walk through the remains of the whole abbey and see where the monks would live and work. I got myself another very Welsh snack. We're being so healthy today, huzzah! And sat by the river watching a swan do swan stuff. Then 'twas off to the final third of this trio, Puzzlewood. I'm at a solid stop because nobody's around here. But look at these views. Well, that was a beautiful drive. There were the tree tunnels and views and the little cottages and one-way bridges and the terrifyingly tiny roads where you're for some reason allowed to drive 60 miles an hour. I stick to like 40 tops. So Puzzlewood isn't technically in Wales, but it was far too in this area for me to not stop by while in this area. And thank goodness I arrived when I did, because it was 4:02 and they locked the gates at 5 and they almost didn't want to let me in, but then they did. There's some farmhouse structures and barnyard animals first, then a quick stroll through a field, really I did it quick, before you enter the land of magic. Y'all, you gotta come here. Photos and film cannot even begin to capture what this forest feels like and looks like. Give yourself more time than I did, but even if you just have an hour like me, it's worth it to see this. The trees are gorgeous. The moss is stunning. The rocks are magnificent. The atmosphere is the stuff of fairy tales. You gotta be careful gawking at the great beauty because a bug will fly into your open mouth. Ask me how I know. Great thing about showing up late is that no one else was in there, and ooh, I would have loved to sit on one of the lovely chairs and benches they've created for hours and become one with the moss. Alas though, I didn't want to get locked in the car park, so I found this handy shortcut to the exit. Only then the road split and they didn't say which one to take. Seriously, there's almost no signage in here, which adds to the magical feeling of getting lost in an elvish glen. Elfish? Elvish? Or on Indoor, cause yeah, I'm pretty sure that was filmed here. I love it. I love getting lost in nature. I did need to get unlost though, so luckily I had enough phone service to point me in the right direction. An hour later, I arrived at my first Welsh stay, which is a converted silo. Super cozy and well done on the inside. I shall be very comfy here. But even better, it's surrounded in stunning views of the countryside and tons of sheep. I want to make friends with the sheep. Is that allowed? Is trying to pet a stranger's sheep frowned upon here?
Oh my god, there's babies.
I feel like I can't talk outside because the peacefulness is too good to interrupt it. Only the sheep get to interrupt it. I didn't really plan this trip out before I left LA. I just gave myself a couple extra days after Matt was leaving London and asked people about what I should do in Wales. So it ended up being only 4 days because I really didn't want to cut into the time that I was spending with Matt. London was lovely. I always love being in London. It's such a nice place to visit, and it was so nice to go back. And to go back and not really be doing anything. The priority for that 2 weeks was just to spend time with Matt. So we saw some shows. We went to the London Zoo, which I hadn't been to before. We went up in the Shard and in the Sky Garden. A little bit of London advice for anyone if you might be going there and you like views. I would highly recommend skipping the Shard. It is higher off the ground, but they charge you so much just to go up in a rather small space and get views of the city. Like, it's ridiculous how much they're charging for that, as opposed to the Sky Garden, which is not quite as high, but absolutely is still great views of London. And it's free. You just have to book a ticket because they have a limited number of people that can be up there. And it's like beautiful gardens inside, and it's much bigger, and there's like couches to lay on and stuff. Absolutely recommend going to Sky Garden and skipping the Shard. Anyway though, and then when Matt was working on show days, I would just run around a little and do whatever I wanted to do. I finally went to Kew Gardens because I never went there the first time that I was in London, I think just because it was too far out of the city. That was absolutely beautiful. I'm very interested in, oh god, now I'm going to forget her name. Marianne North? Is that the correct name? I got like halfway through her autobiography and then got distracted. I need to go back and read the rest. And getting to see her paintings, oh my goodness. You're not allowed to take pictures in there, but whoo! She did like over 800 paintings of flowers and fruit and landscapes and trees and a few animals and birds and stuff. Ugh. The woman was pretty cool. Where else did I go? I got afternoon tea because of course I did. Went to Fortnum and Mason and Harrods. I went to the Fabric District this time, like the one, I don't know, I'll show it on the map. There's kind of two areas in London that have a lot of fabric stores, but I went to the one that I'd never been to before. Didn't buy anything. I'm actually really good at not buying fabric when I'm traveling, unless it's a road trip around America to visit creative reuse stores, in which case I buy lots of fabric. But yeah, like regular fabric stores, I don't know, I guess because I know I can get stuff for so cheap at creative reuse stores, I just don't tend to actually buy much, but it was nice to like walk through them and look at it and everything. What I absolutely cannot resist buying is books. I went to a bunch of bookstores. I think the most interesting one is the one in a houseboat on the water. Highly recommend checking that one out. It's so unique. It's so cool. And I really liked that there really wasn't much organization to the books. Like, I think that poetry was kind of by itself and the secondhand books were by themselves, but most of the books were just all kind of mixed around with no organization that I could see, which really makes you like peruse slowly. Like, I pored over the books to find one that I wanted to buy. I think I bought two. But yeah, that one was really cool. I went to both of the locations of Daunt Books. Very cool as well. They organize their books, or at least in the bigger location, they organize a lot of their books by like location. So instead of just the travel books being like separated by location or the history books, they kind of do it with all of their books. So you can go to like Australia and there will be travel books for Australia, history books, biographies of Australian people, but then there will also be there will also be fiction books that are either set in Australia and or written by Australian authors. And it's like that for all the different locations. So I have been looking for this author, Machado de Assis. Machado, I think, from my knowledge of Portuguese. Somebody recommended him to me back when I asked for book recommendations. And I've just been like, every time I'm in a bookstore, kind of keeping an eye out for his stuff. And I've never seen it, but it was so easy to just go to the South America section, find the Brazil section, and there he was. So I'm in the middle of reading this one right now, and I very much like it. Thank you for the recommendation, whoever gave me that. Yeah, I got here with one book. I was reading Love in the Time of Cholera, so I brought that with me so I could read it on the plane and everything. And then I have bought, I don't even know how many, I've bought a lot of books. Because just every bookstore I go in, I feel like I have to buy a book. I want to support the bookstore, and there's always so many options. So like, how can I not buy a book? But I am trying to only buy kind of small ones and light ones. Like, I pick up the book and some books have like the heavier paper. I can't buy those. They're too heavy to buy while traveling. I've bought a lot of novellas, which like, I went into a Waterstones because I needed to use the bathroom. Waterstones is like their Barnes and Noble here, and walked out with 2 books. But they had like a great table dedicated to novellas, which is just not something I think I've ever seen at a bookstore, to highlight the smaller books in that way. And there were some by authors that I've read their longer books, and I was really interested. I got one that I'd never heard of before, just finished reading it before this one, and it was super interesting. It was called Our Spoons Are From Woolworth. Our Spoons Are Also From Woolworth. I'll put pictures on the screen. But I have been reading through all the books that I've been buying, and I've already read like 6, I think. Probably gonna read a couple more in the next few days. And then on the flight home, yay! Anyway, that was London. It was really nice. It was lovely to have some time to hang out with Matt, and it was really cool to go see the show, see the work that he does. But yeah, now we are in Wales, and I don't have a huge amount of plans. I have the list of recommendations that everybody gave me. That's where I got the trio for today that I already saw. That's how I chose where to get places to stay, but I don't really have many specific plans. Since it's such a small amount of time, and I've already been here for 2 weeks, or, out of the country for 2 weeks, I figured it would be better to just relax a little bit and enjoy myself and not like run around trying to see a lot of stuff. Like, at first, I really wanted to try to see as much of Wales as possible and like go around the whole country, but I still have in the back of my head, like, if I go to a country, that might be my only chance to ever go there, which quite frankly might be true. You know, I went to Iceland once. I have not been back. I might never go back, so I'm glad I saw as much of the country as possible. But that's always in my head when I travel, and so I'm always like, you have to see as much as you can. And I think I have to start being like, it's okay. It's okay if you don't. Have a good time. Relax a little. Do some reading. You can come back someday. Believe inside that you can come back someday, even if maybe it's not true. I'm gonna go to bed. Well, I'm not because it's light outside, but I'm gonna go read in bed. Yay. Oh, yeah, and I meant to say that, like, I did not bring any of my filming stuff with me, which was amazing for, packing lighter. But this whole video is gonna be on my phone because of that, so I really wasn't planning to make a video. I really wasn't gonna, but I don't know, I like showing things that I see. It's nice to share it with somebody when you're traveling alone, so video it is, but all on my phone. Good morning. This silo that I'm staying in is very, very close to the town Hay-on-Wye. That seems like it would be the only logical way to pronounce that one. But who's to say? This town was suggested to me a lot because it is well known for having an absurd number of bookstores in it, an absurdly delightful number. I think the guide for this place said 26 independent bookstores in this one tiny town. So, you know, I already bought a bunch of books in London, but there's gonna be more today. On the flight here, I brought a backpack as like my carry-on, but I put my whole purse, my leafling bag, shout out to them, I put that inside the backpack, so it was just one thing. But then on the way home, one is my carry-on and one is my personal item. So basically the backpack was empty and ready to be filled with books. It also makes sense why this silo is filled with books. Very on theme. Anyway, so the plan for today is pretty much just to hang out in the town and go to as many bookstores as I can. I'm just debating right now if I want to drive there, because it's like 5 minutes down the road, or if I want to walk there, because that would be like 30-40 minutes of walking, and then of course I'd have to come back with whatever I purchase. It would be a lovely walk. It's a little breezy outside today, but like absolutely lovely. It's not warm at all. I think I would just need to change so I can put on like nice, good walking shoes and not sandals, because I've learned my lesson about going long distances in inappropriate footwear. And I didn't do that on this trip, like at all. And my feet are so much better off than they usually are after 2 weeks of being in another country. I think I should walk. It'd be a nice walk. The walk there will obviously be a nice walk. I'm more concerned about the walk back. But I'll bring a little tote bag and I'll buy light books and it'll be fine. It'll be grand. Let's do it. I changed into please don't notice me clothes, complete with proper footwear for a short hike, and off I went. Honestly, this is something I do quite often when traveling alone. Sometimes I feel comfortable wearing the cute dress or the bright colors, and other times I'm just not in the place or the mood to stand out. So it's joggers and a t-shirt. You never come when I call. It was a pleasant enough walk on a cool day. I'm a total wimp, so I wouldn't want to do it on a warm day. When I'm walking specifically to go somewhere, I have a bad habit of staring at the ground and walking as fast as humanly possible. In college, a teacher said I have a New York walk, and yeah, it works great in New York. But here, I tried to convince my brain that I was out for a pointless stroll so that I could slow down and look up at the beautiful views. Once you hit Hay-on-Wye, or rather, Wye itself, because that's the river, there are some lovely walks along the side of it. I couldn't help starting down one, but also I haven't had any food today, so that became a priority. There's this really cool treehouse cafe on the river, but unfortunately it was closed this day, so I ended up stumbling upon the first bookshop before food. No complaints here. I mean, what can I say about the bookstores here other than they're incredible and delightful and lovely, each and every one. Finally got some tea and a scone at the Old Electric Shop, which is also one of the most enjoyable stores I've ever been in. So many varied and wonderful items to peruse. I could have done a whole heck of a lot of shopping here if I weren't very limited on luggage weight allowance and obsessed with books. There's also a castle in the town, because of course there is, complete with an honesty bookshop in the courtyard where you can leave £2 for any book on the shelf that you want. I love these. I wish there were more of these. This is so cool. I didn't want to constantly be filming in all these glorious shops, but oh my goodness, y'all. Richard Booth. This store is huge, and of course I was enthralled with all the books on 3 different stories. Ooh, so many books. But here's the extra magic I adore. With their crafting books, they have crafting supplies. Yarn with the knitting books, embroidery thread with the embroidery books, full-on fabric and notions with the sewing books, even an area of sashiko supplies. How freaking cool is that? It just seems logical to me to sell supplies with the books that teach the skill requiring those supplies, right? Once all of the shops started closing, I walked down to the river and followed the trail for a bit. There's supposed to be a bunch of otters that live in this river, and I was so hoping to see one, but alas, I saw none. Oh well. Now we begin the debate. Do I do the 40-minute walk home right now, or do I go get food first? It's kind of hard to get food here. Most places are closed, and I don't really want to carry groceries back because I'm already carrying a whole bag of books. Hello, birds. The walk back is always so much worse than the walk there. Ah, I made it and I didn't die. But I am very, very thirsty. Hello, sheep. They're ignoring me. Fine, be that way. Want to see what I got? First of all, this was me showing restraint. I must point out. I don't think I'm going to any more bookstores for the remainder of this trip. I don't know why I would be. So, I probably should have gotten less than this, but I can at least fit all of this in my backpack still, so we're fine. Also, I did go to more bookstores than this. You know, there were a lot of bookstores, and I went to more than the number of books that I bought. I'm just justifying all of this to myself because I'm the one who has to carry all of this home on an airplane. Woo! So first place that I stopped in, which I'll try to put which store it was while I'm editing this because I literally wasn't paying attention. Even while I was in the stores, I was like, I don't know which of the stores I'm in right now. But I got The Hunting of the Snark, which is a Lewis Carroll, like one of his poem kind of things that he did. I guess it's not really a poem. Yeah, it's not really. It's like a short story that Lewis Carroll did. I always enjoy his stuff. His stuff is so nonsensical in a really delightful way. And then I also got a play, Jumpers by Tom Stoppard. I'm pretty sure I have everything that Tom Stoppard has written, play form at least, or at least I was pretty sure, but I do not recognize this one at all. So this might be the last Tom Stoppard play that I don't already own. This was from Richard Booth, King Richard. the really, really big one, which was very cool. I found Hamnet, which is not like a classic book or anything, but it's a nice hardcover copy that was only £8. And this has been on my list, I guess. Not like specifically on my list, but it's one that I think was recommended to me. And I think I've seen it several times and been like, you should read that. So I like that it was cheap, but also like it looks like a nice classic book. And then in that same vein of red books with nice covers, this one was only £6. This is a collection of books by Colette. There's 4 stories in there. I feel like I've heard of this author, but part of me is wondering if there is a book called Colette that I'm thinking of. I don't really know, but it's a female author, it's a classic. I'm interested. In one of them, I think it was Addymans, pretty much all of their fiction paperbacks were £4.95, which would be like $7 or $8 in USD, which is very cheap. Most paperbacks in America are like $15, $18, $20. So I couldn't help getting a few. I could have gotten so many more. I got another Octavia Butler. I have The Parable of the Sower. I haven't read it yet, but you know, I've heard good things, so I thought I would grab another one of hers. And then this one just stood out to me because really cool title. On Earth, We're Briefly Gorgeous. Don't know. I don't think that I've heard anything about this one, but you can draw me in with a good title so easily. This one was from, there were 2 shops. I actually didn't go in the second one of them. One is called Murder and Mayhem, and the other one is Christie and Conan. I didn't fully read the name on the outside of the store, but it was a reference to Agatha Christie and Arthur Conan Doyle. And I couldn't quite figure out if the 2 shops were like attached. They weren't physically attached. You had to go outside and in the other one. But if they were maybe owned by the same person or something like that, I don't know, but I only went in one side. I was looking at all of the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle stuff, which was mostly Sherlock Holmes. I have read all of those. I believe I already own all of them, but they had his book, The Coming of the Fairies, which is about those, the fairy photographs that like 2 little girls faked so long ago. Somebody on YouTube did a really good video about that. I'll link it in the description. And finally, I can't remember which store this was from, but they had a lot of folio editions, which is what these are called apparently. I already have a few of these from used bookstores in America. A lot of times, the ones that are like authors or books that I'd be interested in are really expensive, and the ones that are cheap are only things that I would not be interested in, that I don't know who they are. But this one is a Kipling collection, a collection of his short stories, 21 of them. And Kipling is, along with Arthur Conan Doyle, one of the very first classic authors that I read who really got me into reading classics. So I'm always interested in more of his work. So yeah, that's all I got. That's not that much. That's all I got today. Oh God, how many books have I bought on this entire trip? I'll be happy to know that number once I am home and finished carrying all of this stuff. My God. And I am really tired from all of the walking and the sun and stuff today, so I am gonna go read. Yay! And drink more water. I am trying to drink so much water. Good morning again. So today I am leaving here, and for my last 2 days in Wales, I booked myself a little treat. Basically, I just booked myself something a little bougie, something just a little bit nice for my last day as a little treat for myself. It's kind of it's a bed and breakfast still, I guess you would call it that, but it's a pretty nice looking one over in west-ish Wales. What is it called? It's called Grove of Narberth or Narberth, something like that. So the drive there is just like 2 hours. So if I just drove there immediately, I would be too early to check in. On the way, I think I'm gonna stop in a town like 30 minutes from here and just get some breakfast. I found a cafe that is, would you guess it, connected to a bookstore. Yay. And then as far as like legit stopping to see something, there's a garden on the way. So I think I'll go there and take a little stroll around. My feet are a little tired from yesterday. I have a tiny blister in a very weird place, and I'm like, how did that happen? So I'd like to be able to just like wear sandals and a cute dress and kind of chill today. So I think I'm just gonna go to the garden and do a very casual stroll. I'd like to get to this next place, to the bread and breakfast, kind of like at 3 when I'm allowed to check in, because they have a really nice restaurant there where I have made my reservation for 7 o'clock tonight. Yay, I'm so excited for some like good food. Ooh, but I haven't washed my hair in 2 days, so I need to like have time to clean myself up a little bit. Anyway, that's what's happening. I'm just gonna finish my coffee, wash my dishes, and hit the road, Jack. The cafe was in Brecon, and 'twas attached not only to a small bookshop, but also a cathedral. I had coffee and a sandwich, and then took a stroll through the cemetery, which features some stunning trees. Y'all, the trees. I really hope Europeans appreciate your gorgeously old trees. Y'all, this place is hoppin'. I don't know if there's some sort of event happening here at the Aberglasney Gardens, I want to say is how you say it. Like, the entire parking lot is full and people are just parking on the street. I'm partially wondering if I should not bother, but we're gonna go bother and see what it's like. There was no event happening, just beautiful Wednesday weather, and despite the full parking lot, the gardens themselves weren't too crowded. This was the perfect place for a light stroll. So many gorgeous flowers and shady trees and trickling water features. And it's not huge, so I didn't feel like I had to speed walk to see everything. In true British garden fashion, the plants climb up the walls and spill onto paths and steal space from each other like siblings crowded into a small house. Everything was in bloom. Everything was thriving. The kitchen garden was, of course, jealousy-inducing for me in the best way possible. I love the way they use apple trees to make sort of short fences around the beds, and there were what I think are gooseberry and black currant bushes here. Y'all, we don't really see those in America. Not to mention these massive, I'm gonna say, artichokes? I wanna plant things. Y'all, I love gardens. Can you tell I love gardens? You know that if I ever won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anyone, but there would be signs trend. Well, my version of that is that I would buy a huge piece of land and start planting stuff. I always come away from these gardens with a long list of plants that I'd love to try growing, but then the reality is that I don't know if you can grow all the same things in Southern California that you can grow in Wales. Anyway, off to the bed and breakfast or hotel or whatever it is. Let's go! Okay, so Grove of Narberth is lovely. It's luxurious. It's definitely a treat. They gave me verbena lemonade when I arrived. The room is so comfortable, and there's a tub, and look at this little sewing kit they give you. Not only is the fridge stocked with beverages, but also a little snack made fresh in their kitchen, and ooh, y'all, look at the view from my window. So this is pretty posh, as they would say here. Bougie is what I would say. It's very nice. There's a tub and bath salts. So I have 3 hours till dinner. I think I'm gonna go soak in a tub. Yay. I actually did a quick bit of exploring on the property first because I wanted to grab my backpack out of the car anyway. This place is stunning. First of all, inside seems to have been decorated by someone who appreciates craft. I think specifically Welsh craft, which makes sense. There's quilts and pottery, and that's either crochet or tatting. And look at these, like, spindles? Are those technically spindles, or are they just the stick that you wrap your yarn on after you spin it? Outside, there's terraces with seating and paths cut through the fields, the woods, the pond-adjacent foliage. Lots of exploring could be done here, and I might just wander around tomorrow instead of going to see more stuff. I'm not really exploring much of Wales on this trip, am I? But I am appreciating Wales. Like, a lot.
Yo, that literally is my room right there, because I left the windows open. Ah, it's so pretty.
Anyway, have I mentioned I love gardens? They have a stunning kitchen garden, maybe the best I've ever seen. It is flourishing. And not only were there people out there working it, hi, hello, are you hiring? I love this job. But I even saw a chef coming back with a basket. I'm so excited for dinner.
Y'all, this place smells incredible.
But first, one last turn around the grounds to marvel. Ooh! Ooh! It's lovely! Okay, now we soak. Oh yeah. So here's the deal with dinner. There's a restaurant inside the hotel called The Fernery, and oh my goodness, it was delicious, but I don't really film when I go to nice restaurants. I will generally just click a few pictures of the best dishes because I don't want to like interrupt my experience. I did sit down afterwards and rave about it for 30 minutes straight, but that was, we're not including that. So here's just a few pictures of what was an absolutely incredible meal, complete with tea and petit fours taken in the lounge afterward. Ugh, yo, I love formal dining. Good morning. How is it that I ate as much as I did last night and woke up hungry? Good thing there's breakfast. After a lovely breakfast, I realized I was kinda tired, so I threw my book, my sewing, and my doodling pad into my bag and began to wander the grounds. I found the swing. Ooh, a swing! And sat there doing some stitching, lazed in the sun and did some reading, had a drink on the terrace and did some doodling, then wandered through the gardens again, found the raspberry and gooseberry bushes, and nicked a few. It's about that time in traveling for me that both my inner hermit and inner workaholic start clearing their throats and shuffling their feet and glancing at their watches. So this was my attempt to just relax and enjoy the beautiful weather and the beautiful grounds for this last day before going home. Pleased to report, it was a success. And then because they are absolutely wonderful here, they gave me a last-minute spot for afternoon tea, which was delicious. Well, good morning. That was my little Welsh adventure. I gotta head home now so I can work. I have gotten ideas. Every time I travel, I get project ideas. So then I'm really excited to go home and go back to work, which is great. This place was lovely. I know I didn't end up seeing much of Wales, but it's beautiful, and I definitely will come back. I definitely will come back someday and see some more of Wales. I so appreciated what I did get to see. And I so appreciated just like trying to relax. I'm trying to slowly train myself in how to actually relax. We're getting there. But y'all, the night manager, because it's pretty early in the morning right now, I came down and he was like, oh, let me get you coffee and a croissant for the road, and then he gave me water and Welsh cakes. They're so nice here. Anyway, it's been a delight. See you back home. Okay, little tag, I'm back home and I really need to get in the shower, but I just wanted to show you the final count of how many books I bought on this trip. There it is, y'all. That's how many books I bought on this trip. But you know what? Okay, here's the thing. That's how many of them I read on the trip. Not quite half, but like, I read a bunch of the ones that I bought while I was on this trip. So, you know, these will be added to my read soon. But yay, I did some fun reading. I will not be book shopping for a while, because this is now my to-read pile. So that'll last me like, at least the rest of the year, I think. Okay, that's it. Bye for real.